And I know that the fight you all want to see is Jared Hurd and Charlo, and I think that's the fight we are going to be pushing for. Give the fans what they want. I think in that particular division, that's the biggest fight to make, and everybody wants to see. So I'm very hopeful that's the fight we're going to see. I talked earlier to the advisor of both fighters, Mr. Heyman, and he is in agreement that that's the fight which should happen. I'd like to ask up here two young fighters. I talked to you guys, while we wait for Leo and Abner, two young fighters from Santa Maria. I talked to you guys at the final press conference. Some of you met them before, some of you haven't. The Balderas brothers from Santa Maria. Jose Balderas, who had a great fight, and then his brother, the US Olympian, Carlos Balderas. So you guys fought a great fight. They were not easy styles, but you certainly knew how to handle them. And beautiful body shots there, Carlos. Wow. Always, every fight you show some new weapons, which is really beautiful. So it's nice for all of us to see you progress, and I'm sure become the world champion who you will be, and the same, of course, is for you, Rudy. Well done, guys. Any questions? We had a great attendance. I don't know if it was already mentioned, 12,505 people, right? Does that, by the way, include the suites or not? That's basically people coming through the doors, right? So 12,505. I think it was a great atmosphere. These fans here in LA, they certainly know how to cheer on their fighters, and I can't wait for July the 29th to be back, 28th rather, to be back here with Mikey Garcia and Robert Easter. I think we're going to have another packed house, another sensational fight like the one we saw here tonight. I think LA boxing is back. World champions here in Los Angeles are performing. They know how to entertain the crowd, and I really don't think there's any other place in the country like Los Angeles who loves and supports the sport of boxing. And so it's a pleasure to continue to bring big fights here to the Staples Center. Any questions? Yeah.
So, Professor Morris was talking about a third fight. Is that something that you guys are
I was talking to Abner as well, and I told him, well, I think what we need to do is we need to take a little step back and just reflect on what happened. I think this was a grueling fight for both guys, by the way. And Leo went in the last couple of years through some very grueling fights as well. So I think we need to take a step back, and I think the fight, I love to do big fights, and I've always done that, and I will continue to do that. And I think, right now, if you look at the division, in my opinion, the biggest fight to be made, the one I'd like to see the most as a fan, would be Leo and Gary Russell. I think that's the fight the fans want to see. So what I'm going to try to do is to see if it's possible to get that fight done.
Where would you like to place that fight?
Right here at Staples Center. I really, man, if I could, I would do a fight once a month at Staples Center. But it's such a busy venue, so we might have to settle for every other month. You like that, Steve?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to change your handle back to Staples King now, okay?
Yeah. Celebrating the big Cats win. Lifelong fan.
Yes.
You guys know about the attendance tonight. There was a Dodgers game tonight, but it's a little bit less than what they did last time, a little over 13,000, I think.
I think actually it was very close. I think it was 12,800 or something like that. So it was pretty much the same. But what I believe in is I believe the prices were a bit higher, so the gross and the net gate will be substantially higher than the first one. I'm not a big fan of comping tickets, so I really like to sell tickets, because it's a slippery slope once you start giving away large numbers of tickets the next time, people are going to expect it. But when you don't do it, then they know they're going to have, if they want to go to the fight, they're going to have to buy. And so, so I'm very happy with the turnout. I'm extremely happy with the gate here. I'm sure it's going to be well over $1 million. And you know, you need to, you know, some people said, well, maybe the ring sides were a bit too expensive and so on. Well, okay, but you know, we have to show the world that we can generate big gates here in Los Angeles as well. Because if we can't, then the big fights won't come here. They will go to other places where they can generate big gates. So we have to really, you know, build up LA not only as a fight town for smaller fights, but a fight town for the big fights. And by that, I need the help of all of you from the media, and I need the help from all the fight fans to support the fights and come out and buy tickets and not wait to see if they get comps. Because I can tell you, with Ringstar being a promoter, they'll be waiting for a long time. I do not believe, and I never did, whether it comes to tickets or whether it comes to TV as well. I believe, you know, you charge.
The World Boxing Super Series in the 140-pound division seems set. Is there going to be American TV for that one?
Yes. And now you're going to ask me which one, and I'm not going to tell you. Because I can't. No, but there will be TV, and it's going to be a loaded tournament on the 140 and in the 118. So I can't wait. I mean, fingers crossed there is an outside, I mean, you're going to have 2 or 3 world champions in each divisions, but there is an outside possibility to potentially have, and it's not guaranteed. So I just, again, as a fan, it would be unbelievable for both divisions to have all 4 world champions in it. I mean, man, that'd be amazing.
Any thoughts on the judge who called the trouble fight or draw?
I was surprised. I mean, that's all I can say. So I don't know which one it was. I don't know the guy, but I think that was not the right card. But it, you know, it happens in boxing, unfortunately. And I think as long as we're going to be in boxing, we're always going to have, once in a while, those crazy cards. And I just hope that it's going to become less and less as you know, the judges are going to be held more responsible for turning in cards which really don't properly reflect the fight.
What about when the fighters go to the weigh and they weigh a certain weight on the weight? Not even a fighter, it becomes heavyweight.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and I know Lance actually Perkmeyer wrote a story about it, and I think some other reporters as well. They had this week a dehydration seminar organized by Andy Foster, who really is doing a hell of a job. He's the executive director of the California State Athletic Commission, and to change that, you know, because there's some studies they made which shows that in some cases, you know, a fighter gained like 20% or something like that, or over 20% in weight from the weigh-in to the night of the fight. I mean, that's dangerous, and that's got to stop. And all 4 heads of the sanctioning organizations were in Los Angeles earlier this week, and we're meeting with the commission, and I'm sure they're going to come up with the right protocol to avoid that. And you know, maybe it's going to be a day off fight weigh-ins, and you can only add so much weight, and if not, there will be substantial penalties or fines and so on involved. But you know, again, you have to sort of like put that in perspective as well, because if somebody gains more and you know, the day of the fight, what are you going to do? Cancel the event? And people flew in and they bought tickets, and I mean, how fair is it to the other guy who didn't do anything wrong, let alone all the other guys who are on the card? So you know, you have to do something about it, but you really have to reflect on it. What is the best way to go about it? To it. It reminded me about Floyd Mayweather. They usually reacted to him the same way. And you know, in boxing, we have great champions. We have many champions, but we have very few fighters who are able to evoke those kind of emotions in people. Man, the whole Staples Center was booing it. You know, and that's really happened at Floyd fights. And then as Floyd, you know, did more fights and showed how talented and what he is and how great he is, you know, the cheers started to get louder and the boos started to get lower and less. And so I think you're going to see that with the Charlos as well. I mean, they are bigger than life personalities. And in boxing, we need that, you know, we need that. We need personality like that. I mean, I see it with some of my own family members that says, oh, you know, since Floyd retired, the Charlos are really our favorite fighters now. Because, you know, they have attitude. They bring more than just boxing to the game. They bring personality, and I think that's great.